Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to finish off our quilt top, Old New Borrowed Blue. I'm Tanya and this is Creations with Tanya. Alright, so let's just dive right in. So the first row is you're gonna have two of these, and you're gonna have two of these blocks. And you're going to start off with dark blue squares, and then you're going to alternate those. So it'll be the dark blue squares, then the light blue, then the dark blue, and then the light blue. Just like that. So I'm going to sew these rows. I'll show you. Usually what I do is I will, since there's only 4 blocks per row, I'll put them right sides together, and then I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam along here, and I'm going to do the same for this one as well. So right sides together. And then sew 1/4 inch seam here, and when I'm done that, I'll come back and show you what's next. Okay, so I've sewn the 2 blocks together, and I've sewn the other 2 blocks together, and then what you're going to do is put the one with the 2 blocks next to this 2 block one sewn together and face it right sides together. Line it up and then do a 1/4 inch seam, and your first row will be done. And I'll show you what you need to do for the second row. Alright, I have my first row completed now. So I'm going to set this aside. What you'll need to do is do 3 of the exact same way you did the first row. And then the second row, you're going to need 2 rows for the quilt like this. And this time you're going to start off with this block and then go with this blue. And you're going to alternate, and there's going to be 4. So 2 of these and 2 of these. And I'll show you what it looks like when the whole row is sewn together. Alright, I'm back and I have row 2, and this is row 1 sewn together. As you can see, they are alternating. So we've got the dark blue squares, first one, and then we have like the little sashing with the cornerstones in the second one. So that is how the quilt is laid out. Like, these are the first 2 rows, of course, but then it's going to alternate. So then row 1, you're going to do the exact same thing for row 3. And row 4, you're going to do the exact same thing as row 2. And then the last row is going to be the same as row 1. So I'm going to sew all my rows together, and then when I'm done that, I'll show you how I put together a quilt. You might find a different way that you like to put the quilt together, but I usually will take the first 2 rows and I will match up the seams. Like, I'll put them right face together, and then I'll match up the seams. And with this one here, I have ironed all to the darker side here, so that when I put row 1 and 2 together, then the seams will nest perfectly nice and neat. And then I will use a pin and pin these together so that they nest just like that. And then I'll sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way across, And I will do that for rows 1 and 2, and then I'll probably do it for rows 4 and 5, and then 3 I will probably do, I'll attach it to this one, rows 1 and 2, and then I will then put the right faces together from 4 and 5 with 3 and 2 and 1. I hope that makes a lot of sense. Does in my brain. Alright, I'm gonna sew all my rows, and then I'm gonna sew these together, and I'll show you the next step after that. Alright, I have all the rows sewn together, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to take H, which is the 1.5 strips. Take 2 strips, so 1 and 2. And I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam and sew them together. And what we're going to do is we're going to make 4 of these. This is 1 strip. You're going to set it aside, then you're going to take another 2. Right sides together on the ends. That's 2. And then these 2 I'm going to sew together. Strip like this. As you can see, just pretend that that's sewn just like that. So, and then the last 2, same thing, right sides together, sew the ends, and then what you're gonna do is take those longer strips and then sew down each side. So you're gonna do the right side and the left side of the quilt top and trim those. So when I'm done that, I'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. Alright, I've sewn each strip on the right and the left side of the quilt top. And now the remaining 2 strips I have here, I am going to sew on the top and the bottom. Make sure your right and left sides have been trimmed as well. And then I just overhang a little, and then I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on the top one, and then I'm going to attach the bottom one. And for these strips, I have pressed open the seam. I just find it's easier, less bulk. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and let you know what the next step is. Okay, I am back. I have, as you can see, sewn the top and the sides. Actually, I think I have this sideways. There we go. The sides and the top strip all sewn together, and next you're going to take your border, dark blue solid border A, which is 4.5 inches, and you're going to take fabric loves to stick to each other. You're going to take 2 strips and you're going to sew the ends similar to what you did on the side of your quilt. So you're gonna sew, and then it's gonna make a long strip. You're gonna do 2, right? So you're gonna do the same thing. These are gonna go on the left and the right side of the quilt, but you're gonna make it a little bit longer because this won't be long enough. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take another strip and cut it in half and add it to both those longer strips for your right and left side. So once you cut this in half, you'll add it to this and your other strip, and then sew down each side. And then for the top and the bottom, you just take 2 strips, sew them together, and sew the top and the bottom, and of course trim. And your quilt top is done. I will show you the finished product when I'm done sewing.